Stop buying fertilizer. Seriously, put the wallet away. Welcome back to Easy Gardening for Seniors and Juniors. Today, we're talking about something super important for anyone gardening. I want you to think about the last time you went to the garden center. You probably walked down that fertilizer aisle and you saw the prices. $50 for a bag of blue pellets? $30 for a bottle of liquid feed? It seems like every single year the price of growing our own food goes up, while the size of the bags goes down. For those of us on a fixed income, or for anyone who just appreciates the value of a hard-earned dollar, it is becoming ridiculous. But here is the secret that the big chemical companies do not want you to know. The secret to doubling your harvest, the secret to tomatoes that taste like the ones your grandmother used to grow, isn't in that expensive bag of chemicals. It is hiding in the back of your kitchen cupboard right now. It costs less than $1, and it is something you have probably used 1,000 times to bake bread for your family. But if you use it wrong, you will kill your plants. I need to be very clear about that. This is powerful stuff. But if you use it the way I'm about to show you, it triggers a root explosion so violent, scientists have a special name for it. They call it Rhizophagy. Today on Easy Gardening, we aren't just gardening, we are taking back control. I am going to show you the 3-step kitchen tonic that commercial farmers use to trick plants into growing overnight, and we are going to do it for pennies. But before we mix this up, I need to ask you a favor.
If you believe that gardening should be simple, affordable, and accessible to everyone, please go ahead and click that like button right now. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear this message. And if you are new here, consider subscribing to join our community of seniors and juniors learning together. Now, let's get into it. Here is the mistake 90% of gardeners make, and I have been guilty of this too in the past. You walk out to your vegetable patch and you see yellow leaves, so you panic. You rush out and spray the leaves. Or you see weak, spindly stems on your peppers, so you stake the stems. You are treating the symptoms, but the battle for a massive harvest is won or lost underground. We need to talk about the soil. You see, back in the day, before all these synthetic fertilizers existed, the soil was alive. It was teeming with microscopic life. But over decades of using harsh salts and chemicals, many of our gardens have turned into dead dirt. If your soil is dead, your plant is starving, no matter how much water you pour on it. So we need to wake up the soil. We need to jumpstart a heartbeat of your garden. And the only way to do that is with a biological signal. We aren't going to feed the plant today. We are going to feed the workers that feed the plant. This is the solution: common baker's yeast. Yes, the little beige granules you buy at the grocery store. Now, you might be thinking, but that's for making dough rise. How does it help my cucumbers? To us, yeast is for baking, but to a plant, this isn't food. It is a hormone bomb. This is the science that most people miss. When you activate yeast in water, it begins to ferment. As it comes alive, it releases a cocktail of vitamins and minerals. But more importantly, it releases 2 things your garden is absolutely desperate for. Number 1, auxins. Think of auxins as a drill sergeant for your roots. When this hormone touches the root zone, it screams at the plant to branch out. It tells the plant to send deep taproots down into the earth to find water. And number 2, cytokinins. These are the signals that tell the plant to divide its cells faster. This is what gives you those thick, sturdy main stems that can support the weight of 20 or 30 heavy tomatoes later in the season. I actually ran a test on this recently. I took 2 identical pepper plants, same age, same size, same potting mix. The one on the left got plain tap water. The one on the right got this yeast tonic. I waited 30 days. When I washed the soil away to look at the roots, the difference was shocking. It wasn't just a little bit better. The treated plant had 30% more root mass. It looked like a completely different plant. And we all know the old saying, more roots means more fruit. It is that simple. But, and this is a massive but, you cannot just sprinkle this dry powder on the dirt.
I have seen people do this, and it is a disaster. If you sprinkle dry yeast on your soil, it will try to pull moisture and nitrogen out of your soil to wake itself up. It will actually steal nutrients from your plants. You will see your leaves turn yellow within a week. We don't want that. We need to brew it. We need to activate it before it ever touches the ground. So let's go into the kitchen. I am going to walk you through this step by step because the details matter. We are going to make a bioconcentrate. Step 1 is the water. You need 1 liter of warm water. Now, if you are in the US, that's about a quart. But here's the trick that nobody tells you. You cannot use water straight from the tap if you live in the city. City water contains chlorine. Why? To kill bacteria and fungus. Well, yeast is a fungus. If you use chlorinated water, you're killing the yeast before you even begin. So if you're using tap water, let it sit out in a bucket for 24 hours so the chlorine evaporates. Or, even better, use collected rainwater. Now, regarding the temperature, you want it warm, not hot. If it burns your finger, it kills the yeast. If it's cold, they stay asleep. Think baby bath temperature, nice and lukewarm. Step 2 is the fuel. We need to add sugar. Add 1 teaspoon of white sugar, brown sugar, or even molasses. Now, I see comments all the time saying, I don't want to put sugar in my garden, it attracts ants. Don't worry, this sugar isn't for the garden, it is for the yeast. The yeast is going to eat this sugar and convert it into energy. By the time we pour this on the soil, that sugar will be virtually gone. It's just the starter fuel. Step 3 is the spark. Add 1 tablespoon of dried yeast. You can use instant yeast, active dry yeast, or even fresh yeast if you have it. It all works.
Stir it in gently until it dissolves. Now watch this. We are going to let this sit for about 3 hours in a warm spot on the counter. When you come back, you are going to see a thick, frothy foam on top. That foam is life. That is millions of microbes activating, reproducing, and creating those growth hormones. If you don't see foam, your yeast was dead or your water was too hot. Start over. And a quick warning, do not put a tight lid on this jar. As the yeast eats the sugar, it releases gas. If you screw the lid on tight, you are going to have a glass grenade in your kitchen. Just cover it with a towel or a loose lid. Okay, so 3 hours have passed. You have a jar of cloudy, smelly, foamy liquid. Now stop. Do not pour this on your plants yet. This is the concentrate. It is extremely potent. If you pour this directly on your soil, it is too strong. It's like trying to drink a gallon of espresso. It will burn the roots and upset the pH balance of your soil. You have to dilute it. This is the golden ratio, 1 to 10. Take your 1 liter of yeast mixture and pour it into a large watering can or bucket that holds 10 liters of plain water. That is about 2.5 gallons for my American friends. Stir it up well. Now it is perfect. Now it is safe. So how do we apply it? And more importantly, when? This is not something you use every single day. This is a booster. You want to use this mixture once a month. The best time to use it is right now, in the early growing stages, when you have just transplanted your tomatoes or peppers into the ground. They are stressed. They are in shock. This yeast tonic acts like a stress reliever. Pour it right at the base of the plant. Soak the root zone. Within 48 hours, the microbes will latch on to the roots. They begin to break down organic matter in the soil, turning it into a form the plant can eat. But something else happens too. The yeast helps to change the structure of your soil. If you have sandy soil that drains too fast or heavy clay that turns into a brick, this helps. The microbes produce a sticky substance that binds soil particles together, turning dust into a sponge that holds water. Your plants are going to perk up. The leaves will get a deeper, darker green color. They're going to think it's spring all over again. I recommend using this on all your fruiting plants. Tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, eggplants, squash. They love it. I also use it on my roses, and the blooms are spectacular. However, a word of caution, I do not use this on very slow-growing plants like onions or garlic, because sometimes the burst of growth can make them bolt to seed too early. And I generally don't use it on tiny, delicate seedlings that have just sprouted. Wait until they have at least 3 or 4 sets of true leaves. Now I know some of you are listening to this and thinking, is this really worth the effort? Can I just buy the blue powder? Sure, you can. But gardening is about more than just convenience. It's about knowing what is going into your food. It's about that feeling of pride when you slice into a cucumber that you grew with nothing but water, sunlight, and a little bit of kitchen science.
Plus, think about the savings. If you have a large garden, you might spend $100 a season on fertilizer. This method costs pennies. Imagine what you could do with that extra money. Maybe you could buy those high-quality heirloom seeds you've been eyeing, or maybe take the grandkids out for ice cream. Speaking of family, I want to ask you something. Do you have a daughter, a son, or maybe a grandchild who is trying to start their first garden? Maybe they just bought their first house, or they're trying to grow herbs on a balcony. Please share this video with them. Click the share button and send it to them. Because so many young people today are discouraged. They think gardening is too hard or too expensive. They try once, they fail, and they quit. You can help them succeed. You can pass down this knowledge. Let's make sure the next generation knows how to grow their own food too. Gardening doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to work with nature. Nature has been growing forests and meadows for millions of years without anyone coming along with a bag of chemical nitrogen. When we use things like yeast, compost, and organic matter, we are mimicking the forest floor. We are partnering with the earth, not fighting against it. So, I challenge you. Go to your cupboard, check the expiration date on that yeast. Even if it's a little old, it might still work. Just proof it with the sugar and see if it foams. Give this a try on just 1 or 2 plants this week. Treat them to a yeast breakfast. Then come back to this video and leave me a comment. I want to know how it worked for you. I read every single comment, and I love hearing your stories from gardens all around the world, from the UK to Australia, Canada to the US. If you enjoyed this tip and want to see another kitchen scrap hack, something that can save dying orchids and turn them into blooming beauties, you are going to want to click the video on the screen right now. It is even crazier than the yeast trick, and it uses something you probably throw in the trash every morning. Thank you so much for watching. Keep your hands in the dirt and your heart in the sun. I'll see you in the next one.